Let's say you want to punish someone for an inconvenience that they've done. They are a freeloader in your major project, they did a hurtful prank on you, they won't stop talking loudly in public transport, or they like spreading disinformation, or they usually violate the 10-second rule in describing someone that is like, they usually insult you. How can you do it to them or force them to do? That's the question. Your goal is to violate their dignity as much as possible. There are other punishments out there, but we should innovate the punishments that we have right now with the 1, 2, and 3 methods that I'll be proposing for this video. This is gonna be the Chinese water method of the 2020s. Trust, these are decent, ethical, and effective sanctions of the human soul. Now, I would have proposed wishing that anything they eat or cook would have tastes good, but that would be impossible to implement, let's face it. And hoping that they always stub their toes or step on Legos or something is useless since shoes are a thing. I just want to have them barefoot. Now, so the punishment has to be uncomfortable for them, right? The classic human activity so omnipresent, yet not yet weaponized is forcing someone to watch short-form videos that constantly switch for around like 6 or 7 hours without them knowing what the time is. They're gonna be in a box isolated, no stimuli at all, just the short-form videos. And they don't know what the time is, so it's like they've been there for an eternity. In this approach, you either overstimulate or understimulate them. The goal of overstimulating them is by forcing them to watch like the vertical screen content, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, that changes every second for a number of hours, strapped to a chair. They can eat, drink, but they can only look at constantly switching videos. Mind you, every second, that should be 60 videos per minute. Self-explanatory. If your brain isn't fried or rotten right now from not being sincere to train, this punishment will fire your brain more. This teaches your freeloader what being real inconvenience is like. Okay, so another one is to make them feel that a long amount of time has passed, but actually it's been 1 minute. Think of shutting down all of their senses and satisfaction. Like when I was a little kid, I remember having to stay in this like 1 by 1 meter room for 3 hours alone. The door was locked, so I felt quite anxious during that time. In this approach, I propose force watching them r/dank memes or r/anime memes compilations. Okay, I'm sure you might not know what those are, but basically, they're just boring memes, images, and videos. Stale and repetitive jokes playing throughout. YouTube, it's just the same Texas Peach voice talking and the same music that's playing. And then, these videos are so slow. And they just show you the most forced jokes.
Level 43 sounds cooler than just being an old person. My son died.
If I'm showing you a few seconds and you're bored, you won't have to do this for hours if you don't cut lines or block both sides of the escalator for love of the game. We're done with forced viewing. Do you know those punishments where the guy is forced to like memorize Bible verses, the Constitution, or anything else? Or they have to do chores for the whole week, right? I will not steal in school anymore. 400 times in cursive since you're grounded. The point is, it's time we force them to work on something they don't like. We need to modernize the way we punish as we say it. And what else can we do it? By forcing them into playing the New Order. As in the mod for Hearts of Iron 4. For those who don't know, Hearts of Iron 4 is a war simulator where you command military units, while the New Order is a mod of that game where you play in an alternative timeline where the Axis powers won in World War II. You may think that's cool, but the gameplay is so meticulous. It's been criticized as being similar to working on a spreadsheet in Microsoft Excel. Like in the original game, you have to focus on all of your military units, air, naval, land, how are you going to direct them, take care of your generals, something, and you have to do some focus trees and all those stats. You have to consider all of those data just to make one turn or 1 week worth of orders. I don't know much of the gameplay, I'm a normal person, but hey, that's where I see it. Just look at this screen and tell me how you feel. Not only that, the New Order also makes you control other parameters such as order among citizens, economy such as inflation, trade among countries, shenanigans that your country is managing such as manufacturing arms, machinery, or proxy wars. So there's a lot you have to process in one turn. And one game should last a few in-game years. The punishment is to keep them in a room with no windows, etiquette, food, water, but the only thing that they can do is play Hearts of Iron 4. And they can only be freed once they get an objective, such as getting a good ending. And doing that requires an immense amount of planning, trial and error, and patience, even for experienced players. Let me help you illustrate. There are settings in the game where Russia, which is now separated into around 61 warred states, goes crazy because of a madman who claims in the big 1960s that Alexei Romanov is still alive. And so this crazy guy forms an ethnic dictatorship, and you have to either do that or stop that. Or you have to make sure a nuclear war never starts when another Russian warlord starts a great trial on Germany. Another setting in the game is where you have to be the leader of a corporation in Guangdong, which is practically ruled by 4 Japanese corporations. And you have to improve working conditions such as banning child labor or reducing the number of daily work hours from 23 to 11 within a few years. If that information is too much for you while watching comfortably, how much more if you're isolated for hours trying to understand what the game is even about? That's why it's named Hearts of Iron. Need that Heart of Iron and Balls of Steel to play the game. The final one is forcing someone to memorize trivia and pass a 30-item test that constantly changes questions weekly until they ace it. They can live life as usual, but they have to surrender an item important to them, such as an ID. So they're constantly reminded that they have to be accountable for what they have done. Imagine this. You're a student who has to study chemistry. And then, because you shouted at the study hall for a bit, you're punished to memorize object show characters to remove the social stigma on you. Yes, the trivia can be anything to the point that you can only rely on pure memorization to ace a test. Remember the pain of dragging yourself into memorizing formulas for exams? That exact feeling. If I have to memorize important dates in the entire history of 2B 2T, while leaving a mess in the restaurant or movie theater, I'm not eating or watching movies anymore. And I hope that you can do the small steps that it can take to make the world a better place, which are worth doing actually, even without all the punishments that I've been mentioning. Okay, so I know I've already mentioned 3 punishments that you can implement on someone who's been annoying you. So the first one is forcing brain rot onto them. Second is forcing them to work on Microsoft Excel. And third is forcing them to memorize random trivia, to the point that they're going to be insane from memorizing that. I wanted to catch up another one, but asthmatic or weak people might have to pass this one, so I'm not counting this one to the 3 ones. The punishment that I would recommend is dancing in public. And by dancing in public, I never mean smoothing any dance move that you can like, such as this one. Because you already lost the sense of punishing someone if they have the freedom to dance. In this punishment, the criminal should be patrolled by someone who gets easily angry, and the criminal has to dance until the patroller approves the dance. What dance should they do visibly in public? This one. I know this seems like a random dance, but trust me, dancing this alone while constantly being berated by a hot-headed, bad-mouthed bummer who's being replaced for existing, that's a new level. I'm not kidding when I'm saying this, but we have to dance this one every flag ceremony under the scorching morning sun. We're not sun-kissed, we're sun-violated. So instead of having time to review for a test for your first subject in the morning, you have to do this. We're forced to do this, every one of us, while the student officers and teachers tell you to do it properly. What is my life here about? Thank God I'm done with this.